Well, Nigerian human rights activist Hafsat Abiola has been promoting democracy and helping women in the West African country to participate in the country's governance. Her work is often dangerous. She's made risky trips to areas targeted by Boko Haram extremists, meeting with survivors of terrorist attacks. She's helped organize women to demand action against Boko Haram's campaign against women, which has included kidnapping, slavery, involuntary conversions to Islam, and forced marriages. Hafsat Abiola is the founder and board president of KIND, the Kudirati Initiative for Democracy. She was recently in Washington, D.C. to receive a Global Leadership Award at the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. The Nigerian human rights activist is the guest today on One-on-One with Peter Clottey.
Tell me, in promoting democracy in Ogun State and in Nigeria, what has been your work like?
Yeah, Nigerians are very supportive and excited to have a democracy, but in many respects, people don't know how to use democratic systems. So one of the things that my NGO has done in several states in Nigeria is what we call a community scorecard. We take issues that are of concern to people at the local level, and we come to those people and conduct surveys on the services of the state in terms of education, in terms of healthcare, in terms of protection of markets and facilitation of markets, and different questions like this. And then we bring the people, a representative sample of the people we surveyed, together with their state and local government, for them to share the results of the survey. So the government will see how the people perceive their performance in terms of education or health, and the government has a chance to respond and explain the challenges they face and to also hear what the people expect of them. Well,
as they say, if you educate a woman, you educate the nation. How has been the responses of women to participate in the democratic tenets that you want them to embrace?
As the inaugural person in charge of the Millennium Development Goals portfolio, which was the UN Covenant, that was a global one. Right. And I was to work on achieving the goals for our state. Now, one of the goals talks about women's empowerment and gender equality. So I worked with the women in the cabinet to look at the question of how can we get women into local government. And what we decided to do was to provide something that I call a sponsorship platform. Which was that we were already in government, we were members of cabinet, we were appointed, but because of our position in government, we have authority. And we could talk to the party leaders, party gatekeepers, and with all of them we were saying we need to get women into local government council in Ogun State. So now there are about 300 positions that we were targeting in local government council, and we had about 3 women at that time. We worked and we were able to get 54 women from 3 to 54 in the 2014 election. The next election is in 2017. And now, from that experience that we had, I want to use my NGO for us to replicate it nationwide.
But let's take it up to the north, where the religious undertones play a critical role in how governance is administered in that part. How realistic will be the chances of having women participation, particularly in the north, where, of course, you know, Boko Haram is running riot there despite successes of the military?
I went to northeast Nigeria in 2014, a month after the abduction of the girls in Chibok community, right. Yes. And I went to conduct an assessment. Now, my NGO has trained about 500 women in Borno, which is the part of northeast Nigeria that is hardest hit by Boko Haram. So we have a huge network of women and men also that we can call on, that we can find out what is going on. And so when I went for about a week and did a study of the situation there, I learned that a lot of the signals that there were problems in Borno, women had been seeing it, but they had no access in politics to really make sure that they could raise an alarm, they could be heard, and that the path could be changed in the direction of the government.
Coming back to Ogun State, what are the prospects of a successful governorship, and do you think that would be better for women in that state?
Normally what governors do is they just distribute money. But we don't want to do that, because that is the behavior of people who are depending on the oil wealth. So we take the money from the federal government and then we just distribute, and everybody, so the governor gets his own chunk and then the poor people also get little bits of money. But that doesn't actually help the economy of the state. And to help the economy of the state, we need to invest. People are seeing that the women in Ogun State that are in government are also making a real difference, that we're really trying to support them. So when later on my younger sister or some other woman in my state goes to the local government people and say, will you support me? Will you give me a chance? The people will likely say, we've seen your sisters in cabinet and we've seen how well they've done. And we've seen that, you know, good leaders can make a difference because we have seen our governor. So yes, go forward. And if you don't do well, we will not repeat this chance we've given you, but go and try. So this is what we want to begin to do across in Ogun State and across Nigeria.